Kaiju no Kami here with
Cruellica Kain
and
Silver Quill.
And we are here to talk about Ultraman Trigger, episode 11. For reals this time, we've got the right episode finally. Because a couple weeks ago you said 8 when it was 7. Last week I said 9 when it was 10. So now it's 11.
Oh, well, who's the bigger dummy now, huh? Yeah, right, we're equal. Oh, you saw it? You was going to strike me?
I'm staying impartial.
So, what do you have the episode title up?
Actually, no, I failed today.
You have failed.
No, the episode's title is not Up. That's a Pixar movie. It made me cry.
The first 10 minutes.
And the latter montage, too. I was a weepy boy that day.
I'm sorry. The first 10 minutes of that movie always makes me cry.
Okay, it's called The Encounter of Light and Darkness.
Wow.
That sounds like a 13-year-old's fanfic. Hey, now no leaning if it causes you pain.
No.
Sounds like what a drunk person gets.
No. So if you wonder why I'm sitting in the middle, it's because I have the warden on this side and I have Silver Quill on this side, who is extremely emotional. So the warden requested me to sit here so that there's a barrier.
I did.
Yes.
Hug.
See?
Hug.
Yeah.
Hug.
Okay, fine. Come on closer.
No.
Hug. Pointy thing. Retreat. Retreat from the pointy thing. Here, challenge your pointy thing.
Okay.
No, do not be waving scissors in front of her. She's been through enough.
Yeah, I've already had.
Okay, let's cut out the middleman.
It's more than anyone can handle.
All right, moving on.
Okay, back to the episode itself, so this is part 1 of assumptively a 2-part story, because I'm still going to go on the notion that episode 13 is going to be some clip show thing that,
If you don't
So
know
the
what this
episode
is from, it's actually from one of the shows we watched.
It was from Trigger itself.
yeah, it was when, restraining order put it down on Jafar's head a few weeks ago. But anyway, so yes, this is part 1. So it's kind of weird because there's not much that happened in this episode. It was pretty much Trigger's fighting Carmella. She infects him with some darkness thing, and Kengo gets transported to the past. But we never actually see the ultra ancient civilization. We just see Yuzure.
Apparently, we don't need to be here.
Tells us that the ancient ultra civilization is fighting the Giants of Darkness.
The Terra Protection Team.
And
the team part that really gets me.
Yeah, where's the team? I just saw one person.
She wasn't even part of the team.
She just had the me in team.
But it was kind of interesting because I like the design for for Trigger Giant of Darkness.
Dark Trigger.
I thought it was Trigger Darkness.
Maybe.
I liked it just because it looked like he had like the skeleton on his chest, and then his helmet changed, and then he had like these 2 things coming out of his shoulders.
Actually, his design makes me think of Ultraman Noah from Nexus.
Although the gold rib sticking through on the left, for some reason I found that interesting. I'm usually a fan of symmetrical designs, but I don't know, there's something about just that vulnerable patch. It's kind of like you have like really bulky armor on your right side, because that's the side by which you aim down. Or I guess it would be in my case, it would be on the left to aim down, and your right fears no one. It's just over here.
I like asymmetrical designs just because it shows his elevation of art. I actually feel like that's why Death the Kid in Soul Eater is my favorite character. Even though he lives for symmetry, his design is not at all symmetrical.
And of course, I guess we should mention that This whole thing started with an infection of darkness because you never face your Ultra ex-girlfriend without wearing protection.
And then, moving on. We didn't have any stalker moments, at least, from Dargon and...
Well, he did come up. So Stalker did come up because, obviously, Nepotism and Edgelord were there. And when they pointed their guns, or their whatever they are, gun-like things, at Dargon, he's like, oh, you're not going to stand down. So I think that's the extent of that interaction. We did have Hubris come in today to stop Hudron.
Oh, Hudron.
Yes. Excellent!
Who stopped the little falcon from attacking Carmella.
But then we go in the past, and we have Kengo...
What, actually, before we continue, what did you think of all of that?
Well, I got a kick that we started right off with an Ultraman fight. It looked like it was in high gear near that breaking point. And Kaiju actually pulls up the progress bar to make sure we haven't skipped ahead. I don't think we're used to Trigger being this efficient with its action.
Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure for some reason it didn't skip or something. I'm like, okay, did we miss something, or is this just how the episode started? Okay, this is just how the episode is starting.
But I love that that's the initial reaction, because we're kind of used to a build-up. A bit more silliness. I'm afraid that Ultra ex-girlfriend joke is the best Freudian I can inject in the conversation. Although it is kind of funny, if the story is going the trend I think it is, the Giants of Darkness basically created their own adversary.
I kind of feel as such, because they're putting Trigger on this pedestal. And both of us thought of I actually thought of GTA 3 with the silent protagonist.
Yeah, that's all. Well, I was thinking of GTA 3 or a lot of video games where it's a silent protagonist, so like telling him what to do, he's just like,
And he just gives a nod. But come on, Ultra actions speak better than Ultra words.
Oh,
and speaking of words, here's the thing. This is 30 million years ago. The Giants of Darkness say there's an ancient ruins. So this is an ancient ruin that's more ancient than the ultra-ancient ruins, which means that this is the super-de-duper ultra-ancient ruins.
I was a little confused by that we already had ruins, because, one, they're on Earth.
Which is already ruined.
And my thought process was there, and I understand I'm putting reality of science here, but humanity only started with the Neolithic population less than 1 million years ago.
as far as you know.
Yes.
So did you know that there were dinosaurs on Noah's Ark and the T-Rexes were really plant eaters? And I can't even finish the sentence.
I was gonna say.
It's so complete and utter bonkers.
Like, there were
And yet somebody would believe
dinosaurs
it.
30 million years ago.
Actually, I'm quoting. There is a place that advocates dinosaurs were on Noah's Ark.
Yep. I've heard of this.
Yeah, they're called birds.
No. Actually,
Noah's Ark.
we're not going to get into it. It went right over your head.
Like a bird.
Pretty much.
Birds.
Well, honey.
Turns out they're circling over the poop deck.
Anyway.
If you didn't know, he is actually really, really blonde. So, you know what they say about blondes.
You'd be the expert.
They have all
on
the
that.
fun.
No, that they're dumb.
Yeah.
Well, I'm more progressive, thank you. I'm not an anti-blondite, even though they have what I never can.
So then we have Kengo, or not Kengo, Akito is there like, Kengo! When Trigger wakes up all dark and ice, he's facing his emo phase again.
No, that's what you call Mondays.
And...
This is just Trigger with the case of the Mondays.
And Yuna is like, wait, Kengo is Trigger?
Well, and I kept on waiting throughout the episode because the only person who knows that Kengo is Ultraman is Akito.
And the commander.
Well, the commander, but he's very rarely there.
I'm willing to bet Jafar knows.
Oh, I have no doubt in my mind that he knows, but Jafar has a better poker face.
Oh yeah, you can't beat his poker face.
Then,
Mom. In fact, you know what? Let's edit that in. Just take the Gaga song, and we'll edit Jafar's face over the background dancers.
No.
It's only one expression, so it should be pretty easy.
No.
I keep on seeing this feed on Netflix right in front of us, and we just had The Undertaker come up.
Yeah.
So apparently there's an Undertaker movie where he's
Where's the actual Undertaker?
Where he's hunting down some black dudes.
Not going there. Not going
What the hell?
Well, that's what it showed.
Don't say it like that.
Well, that's what it showed.
I would have just left it as people.
I've got an anti-blondite, and I don't even want to speculate what kaiju is.
Okay, anyway, let's get back on track, because clearly we have nothing to talk about, because absolutely nothing happened in this episode, because it leaves off to be continued.
Well, then that's not entirely true. One, we learned that Nepotism's actor is actually a very good actress, I should say, is very good playing an ancient individual who 50% of the time isn't a damsel in distress.
All I know is I wanted Kengo to say, "God damn it, woman, I gotta save you in this timeline too."
But she did a good job. I really believed her to be a separate character from...
That I did.
Well, yes, she did a good job. No, I'm doing this because I'm afraid of your dangerous arm. But anyways, the acting in the episode was done fairly well. Kengo definitely had to live up to this expectation of going into the past. I did like both of your reactions when he was like, "Smile, smile!"
The last time I remember him doing that was when a guy was dangling from the back of a monster. And funny enough, all right, he's Stalker, isn't he? There's Restraining Order.
And Dargon Stalker.
Okay, he's Restraining Order. He didn't show up. Probably for the better this time. This was not an episode that needed comedic relief.
He had no purpose in this episode if he had. But yeah, this episode is just basically there to set everything up for the next episode.
I did like how Dave was asking Marlulu, "What is that darkness?" And she's like, "I don't know.
How should I know?"
I'm just like, yeah, that sounds about right.
Although, from episode 1, I kind of expected the Giant of Darkness and Trigger. I expected that history. So far, there's hints at reflection, even though it doesn't say anything. But at the same time, I'm kind of worried that this is going into Kengo possesses Trigger to pull him back. I really would have liked if Trigger really looked at where he was and just
did it willingly.
And he joined with Kengo later on for a kindred spirit. If it turns out Kengo forced a reformation, that feels wrong in a lot of ways.
Well, it doesn't feel legitimate. It doesn't feel like that he's truly a giant of light then.
That's where I was going with it. I was thinking the entire time. I'm like, wait a minute. So are you telling me the only reason Trigger became a giant of light is because Kengo went back in time to convince him to be a good guy and what he was doing was wrong? And that's his whole reason he transformed? Okay, that's cheapened out, because that means he didn't do it by his own choice.
Does that mean that Kengo is like his own grandpa?
Did he do the nasty and the pasty? We don't know.
No, I just...
Although... Oh yeah, the other joke... Yuzare, don't know what else to call her, old lady, calls him Relais, which in their language means hope, even though she's speaking perfect Japanese. Joey, you're Japanese. You're supposed to be speaking English. But the other thing, is it Relais or something close to it, the dwelling of Cthulhu that's meant to rise from the waves and eclipse the world in destruction?
Honey, you're not a bobblehead. Use your words.
Then why are you covering my mouth?
Because I was trying to get you to stop moving your head.
But then why were you covering my mouth if you want me to...
Okay, go on to the whole...
Yes.
Well, you know,
yes, it
some
is.
people always accuse us of talking out of our asses. Maybe she's trying to make it real.
I don't know what that would smell like.
This is
very diverse.
Geoger versus Ninja. No, we're not doing that.
What?
I'm lost, but I'm kind of happy.
Geoger versus Ninja. Masao, the Sixth Ranger, communicates with the ninjas when he's tied up and his mouth is gagged with his butt. He does kanji shapes with his butt.
Well, there's commercials that I've been seeing where people are talking using their butts. It's weird.
Oh, I hate those.
Yeah.
What commercials are you watching?
He knows what I'm talking about. They're called like Seatmates or something.
Think seats.
Okay, on that note, Ultraman Trigger, it was a decent episode, but I've got nothing really to say about it because there's not really much that happened.
Well, the first part one is always sort of predicated on its part two. If part two could always be a disappointment, which makes part one feel more unfulfilling in hindsight, or part two could be really awesome, and then part one is part of that awesomeness. And then there's the prequel of the sequel to the remake of the reboot, which is just the financial flop.
Yes.
Okay, I need to go.
All I know is, okay.
You are injured.
Here's one problem we had. Last year, Ultraman Z. Episode 11 was part 2. Episode 11 was part 1. Episode 12 was part 2. Episode 3 for this arc was part 3, but episode 3 was a clip show, but they ended the arc with the clip show, and the arc ended with a fart joke. I just hope they do not do that again this time.
The arc was a fart in the park? For a lark? Where all the dogs bark?
What did you guys think of this episode? Check us out on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Patreon at Kaiju no Kami. Website is creativitybydesignllc.com, and the Kaiju no Kami store is now open for business. Click like, subscribe, the bell notification, whatever else YouTube has you clicking in to support us, and support
Silver Quill, MLP Silver Quill on both YouTube, DeviantArt, and Twitter. Just do a search, ye shall find me. Promise.
Alright, with that said, we've got nothing else to say. And no jokes to make, because there was nothing Freudian to do.
Oh, I don't know, going back in time to meet your girlfriend's inner girl?
Bye.
Well, they did step in a giant hole. Okay, that's all. Bye.